ค่ะเรียนอาจารย์ประจำรายวิชาดิฉันนางสาวโฉมสุดามงคลรหัส107วันนี้จะมาให้ความรู้ผู้ปกครองเรื่องการส่งเสริมพฤติกรรมตามความสนใจของเด็กปฐมวัยด้วยความร่วมมือของครอบครัวหัวข้อนำเสนอ 1. ความสำคัญของพฤติกรรมตามความสนใจ 2. ลักษณะพฤติกรรมและตัวอย่าง 3. บทบาทของผู้ปกครอง 4. เทคนิคการสนับสนุนเด็กที่บ้าน 5. ตัวอย่างกิจกรรม 6. คลิปประกอบ 7. สรุปความสำคัญเด็กปฐมวัยเรียนรู้ได้ดีที่สุดจากความสนใจของตัวเองความสนใจเป็นพื้นฐานของความถนัดและศักยภาพพ่อแม่และครอบครัวเป็นผู้สนับสนุนหลักในการเรียนรู้ลักษณะพฤติกรรมเด็กทำสิ่งเดิมซ้ำด้วยความสนุกจดจ่อและสนใจนานกว่าปกติเลือกเล่นหรือทำกิจกรรมตามความสนใจก่อนเสมอตัวอย่างต่อบล็อกเล่นบทบาทสมมุติวาดรูปเล่นดนตรีบทบาทผู้ปกครอง 1. สังเกตและบันทึกดูว่าช่วงไหนเด็กสนใจมากที่สุด 2. สนับสนุนกิจกรรมเตรียมอุปกรณ์และพื้นที่ปลอดภัย 3. ชมเชยและเสริมแรงให้กำลังใจมากกว่าตัดสิน 4. ร่วมเรียนรู้เล่นหรือทำกิจกรรมร่วมกับเด็กเทคนิคสนับสนุนเด็กที่บ้านใช้กิจกรรมประจำวันเช่นทำอาหารง่ายๆเก็บของเล่นจับคู่ภาพเสียงเพื่อส่งเสริมภาษาและความจำให้เด็กลองผิดลองถูกอย่างปลอดภัยสร้างเวลาเล่นบทบาทสมมติตัวอย่างกิจกรรมความสนใจต่อบล็อกศิลปะธรรมชาติบทบาทสมมุติกิจกรรมนะคะต่อบล็อกสร้างบ้านสัตว์ตัวเลขศิลปะระบายสีปั้นดินน้ำมันธรรมชาติปลูกต้นไม้เดินสำรวจบทบาทสมมุติเล่นร้านค้าบ้านโรงพยาบาลเป็นต้นค่ะอันนี้ก็จะเป็นคลิปประกอบนะคะ
Welcome to the Hummingbird Cottage. In today's video, I'm going to take you on a journey of what it looks like when supporting a child's interest. Today I'm talking about Wendell. When he first came to the Hummingbird Cottage, I had a salt dough play invitation set up on the big table. Laid out next to the salt dough were evergreen branches, a rosemary tree, scissors, and assorted rollers. One of my favorite all-time dough invitations is to provide real herbs and plants for the children to cut and add to the dough. And of course, those plants are safe for children, so make sure you check. Observing Wendell that first day was fascinating because he entered the play space and transported the evergreens, placing them in the bare tree. He took the salt dough and used it as if he were making noodles, cutting from the evergreens in the bare tree. This is such a classic example of the power of cross-pollination. As I talked about this in previous videos, I was taken by his construction of a cooking space. Literally pulling all the things he needed, bringing the dough into the housekeeping area, bringing the evergreens, the scissors. It was fascinating. And in our next session, I placed the salt dough with pasta making tools right in the middle of the center. And again, I observed Wendell return to his making of the food. And others joined him. The salt dough was captivating. And again, it was so funny. I had the rosemary tree hide because we were out of town. And when I guess it was placed in a corner and the children went and they cut from it and added it to the dough. So good. I loved this pasta making explosion in the classroom. It was bringing social activity. It was bringing just so much engagement. And it had me pondering, was it the squishing, the smashing, the rolling of the salt dough that captured Wendell, what I call the verb? Or was he deeply engaged in the idea of pasta, his theories about pasta and broth making, the noun, the topic, noodles? I'm going to admit right up front, my creative self was imagining all sorts of felt fake food. My grandson is currently obsessed with his own cooking restaurant. He has the whole game room area in his home. The upstairs is a complete restaurant. He's transformed it, and he has this massive collection of plastic and wooden imitation food. He plays there for hours, so I've been observing this in my own grandson. It also had me reflecting on the power of play for children to investigate and explore about life and those things that they see their parents and other adults doing. They play out these real life scenarios. Would Wendell, if I brought some form of imitation food, would it satisfy this? Was he into the noun, his theories? Would it be another way of playing with it? I wanted to test my theory. That created part of me, that detective investigator. So I decided to make and create pasta from yarn and felt. I went to the dollar store and purchased more kitchen utensils, boxes, empty boxes of pasta that I filled with the yarn noodles. I mean, I'm telling you, I went all in on noodles. I set up an invitation to play with the noodles in the middle of the home living center. That day, the first child in was Liam, a new child, and he played with those noodles. He spent 85% of his time cooking away. Wendell, on the other hand, had almost nothing to do with the fake noodles. He spent his time mixing and stirring pink potions for our collaborative canvas. It was so clear that day. Wendell loved the act of mixing and adding ingredients together. He was an alchemist. Transformation. He was doing transformation through mixing, pouring, painting, blending, stirring, smashing, pressing. In fact, in our group conversation afterwards, he said he wanted more resources and bottles for making potions. He suggested we have a shelf filled with possibilities, with supplies. There are several important reminders in my observation of Wendell's play in nurturing his interest. First, the best thread we have to follow the lead of the child is the verb. What actions are they taking? What actions are getting repeated? Wendell's actions were smashing, pressing, stirring, blending, mixing. These were the golden threads to follow. My mantra is let the verb lead the way. The noun, the noodles, were not Wendell's big jam. That's not what he was really engaged in. If we look at this through schema theory, he was engaged in the schema of transformation. I'm already gathering and collecting materials that Wendell imagined that afternoon for the next time. I'm wondering, how can I provide new ways for Wendell and the other children to explore transformation? I think it's interesting as well that Wendell's interest, his engagement, invites other children into it as well. This is the beauty of child-led learning. The possibilities are endless, and I, as the educator, get to become the detective. While the children are playing, I'm observing. I'm taking notes. I'm watching the play unfold. I'm watching the social play unfold. And sometimes I get it wrong. That's the beauty. There's no getting it right or wrong. It's a dance that's happening. It's a dance happening through their time in my care. One more thing I want to say before we close today's conversation, that the collaborative painting created such a dynamic social engagement, and it was so satisfying to almost all of the children in our after conversation. All of them wanted more. So that's the next place I'm moving, is to harness this interest that was expressed by so many of the children. And this is how it happens sometimes. I'm getting up underneath Wendell's interest, but at the same time, I found an interest that's capturing the entire community. And that, my friends, is where the magic happens. Following the verb. Harnessing the schema that's presenting and watching play unfold. All right, thank you for stopping by the Hummingbird Cottage, where children lead the play. Was today's video helpful? If so, be sure to subscribe and like this video, because I release new videos every week, all about play and child-led learning. Until next time, I'm Sally Boyd, and I'll see you soon.
สรุปนะคะ เด็กเรียนรู้ได้ดีที่สุดเมื่อสนใจสิ่งที่ทำ ผู้ปกครองคือแรงสนับสนุนสำคัญ กิจกรรมเล็กๆที่บ้านช่วยพัฒนาการใหญ่ๆของเด็กค่ะร่วมกันสร้างสภาพแวดล้อมอบอุ่นสนับสนุนพัฒนาการครบด้านค่ะก็ขอจบการนำเสนอเพียงเท่านี้ค่ะขอบคุณค่ะ